Hey guys, how's it going? Take two here at Licensed-On 2023 for G.I. Joe on the NES. My name is MixMastaPJ, and I'm joined in the booth by the moderator of the G.I. Joe boards, the former speedrunner himself. He's going to get back into it now that he's seen some new categories, but he's here to talk all about it. Zero, how's it going, man?
It's going good. How about you?
Looking good in the profile there, too. We got it looking nice and sharp. We got ourselves there, and the correct 4x3 all figured out as well. And hopefully the audio stopped doubling, too. So we should be all good to go here. Just give you guys a little bit of a heads up here before we get started. You can see some of the cool descriptions they have of all the Joes. I just want to show you guys who they are real quick. That's General Hawk. That's our boss. And we'll have plenty of things to say about him later. But all 5 of the Joes that we can choose from all have different stats. And this is our main guy we care about the most, Rock and Roll. He's got the strongest gun, but he has very low health and does not jump very well. So our job is to kind of escort him to a lot of the boss fights, and he takes care of business for us. Duke is our leader of the first mission, and one thing that he can do is jump pretty good, and that's pretty much all we're going to do with him in the game. There's one little trick that we try to do here real quickly at the very beginning. I'm going to give you guys just a little view of that, because once I start the run, it's going to happen so fast you're going to miss out on it. But basically, in this game, we can upgrade our gun by grabbing those little gun icons up there. You see that one up there? Now, Duke, like I said, we don't care about him as much as we care about Rock and Roll. So Rock and Roll, his gun level is here at 1A, and the goal is to go 1A, 2A, or 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D, 3A, 3B, 3C, 3D, and then max. So after you get 12 of those gun icons, your guns are maxed out, you're putting max damage down there. We're going to try to get Rock and Roll there as quick as possible without going too far off the route. But he's too small! He can't reach it! So what do? At the very beginning, we switch to Duke, and then right when he's about to grab it, we switch to Rock and Roll, and that's how we get that gun upgrade. Alright, so that happens about 2 to 3 seconds into the run, so I just wanted to explain what was happening there before we got started. So, anyhow, I'm going to get started here and let Zero do a bit more of the talking. I guess let's get ready to go here. We'll get started in 3, 2, 1, go Joe!
Yeah, now the funny thing is, when you jump and switch, I don't know how Rock and Roll ends up in the same spot there that Duke was, but it works for him. Now, a lot of this game, if you jump, you're going to be moving faster than you would if you just walk, which is why you're seeing him jumping a lot. And there's also, if you have too many bullets or too much happening on the screen, you will get a ton of lag. So a lot of this level 2 is you need to memorize where the enemies are going to pop up, hope you don't have bullets coming up in the wrong place, and then you just kind of keep jumping straight through to the end. One little thing you'll notice too is there was a little upgrade in the trees there that he skipped. With Rock and Roll, you want him to have a certain amount of health for the end of the game. That's something we'll go into later. Now there, he switched to Snake Eyes, because Snake Eyes can throw grenades incredibly quick. And then you switch back to Rock and Roll for the boss, and that's a 1 cycle. You don't want him to, because if you miss that, he'll come back and go off the screen again. It just takes extra time. So here now, there's all these checks. They're basically little spots where you place a bomb, and you'll blow up one of the Cobra bases. In this level, there you can see the 1 out of 2 at the bottom. That means there's 2 checks you have to find, and once you get all the checks, you can go into the boss. So here's the second boss. His little bird will eventually start breaking the floor underneath you, and you can fall into the pit and die, but as you can see, PJ killed him so quickly, they didn't have a chance to do anything.
That was Rock and Roll's doing. You use one of the other characters there, it takes a whole lot longer, but yeah.
And he got Rock and Roll at level 2 for his guns, and he can basically just start shredding through all these enemies. Now here we kind of do a quick route where you alternate from the top to the bottom like that, just to avoid certain obstacles, and the goal here is you want to have Rock and Roll at 3B by the time you get through here. Now this boss is pure RNG. You want a pattern like this. That's perfect, where he just stands still in front of you. Sometimes he'll jump around all over the place. He won't stand still. One Peter mentioned, he'll go off the left side of the screen and you can't even hit him until he comes back. Now, the unfortunate reality in Mission 2 is you have to take Blizzard.
Yeah, well, we're in Antarctica now, so Blizzard's the right guy for that job, but we just finished the Amazon mission. There are 5 different missions that are regularly structured in the game before we end up making a trip to the Cobra headquarters to fight Cobra Commander himself. So right now this mission has us in Antarctica. We use Blizzard in a couple of cases. One, we use him at the very beginning to lead the mission, and we just switch out of him to Rock and Roll. And then 2, if things go south and we look like we're about to fall into a pit or something, we'll switch to Blizzard so he takes the death instead. So
That's the best place to use Blizzard. Now here, the fun thing with that is Captain Gridiron's punch is incredibly powerful, so you're actually punching like a missile plane to death. Because I don't know what kind of gloves he has, but that seems incredibly painful, but it works for Gridiron. Now here you've got there's different vehicles in the game. I don't know what this one's technically called. I just called it the helicopter. But
the indoor helicopter in which your legs hang down.
Yeah,
very safe.
This one is very good. There's one that we'll be introduced to in a little while called the Buzzbore that was designed by someone that hates people, and we'll explain that when the time comes. But here you're just going through getting the checks. There are like false walls in this game and everything here, like you go through there to get the third check. And then you're actually going to be fighting 3 Buzzborers for the boss to this level.
See how it goes. 4.
And like all these boss fights are, the timing is very tight as far as like how to do them quickly. That was a very good boss fight. You see the danger thing up at the top there. You can actually get a Buzzbore for yourself, but why would you want to use that?
I mean, I did when I was a kid, but that was before I knew how great rock and roll was.
Yeah. Now, this level requires incredibly precise timing. Like if you make one wrong jump, you're in the pit. So it might have looked easy what he was doing there, but that is incredibly difficult to time. Now there's one little neat thing you could do there. I don't know if you saw him alternating between the fist and the gun. If you switch between those, you can punch while you're shooting, and you get a lot of extra damage that way.
On my stream, we call that the body massage, if you're familiar with the old G.I. Joe PSAs from back in the day. Some of the different tricks have different PSA references.
Now, this level is something that every speedrunner loves, an auto-scroller. So we basically just drop down here. You're hoping that you can get 3 gun upgrades here, because if you get 3, you don't have to stop and get another gun upgrade and level 3. So far, he's got 2.
There we go.
And there's the 3rd. Perfect. So normally in 3,
we got some bonus
about
ones.
4. And extra health. That's not as good.
Can I save these guns for other runs? This is nuts.
Is that 6 now?
Something like that, yeah. 5 or 6.
I don't think I've ever seen more than 2. Like, it's really rare to see more than 2. So.
Right. I mean, the task gets it on everything, every character, or every enemy rather. So that's how we learned that it's frame dependent. Like, if you kill the enemy on the right frame, that determines what item gets dropped. Well, there's another gun.
Jeez,
we're basically rolling an 8-sided die and just getting a bunch of 8s. You know, in the marathon.
Get
so that's
that
nice.
lottery.
Oh, not anymore. I spent all the luck.
Yeah, with this boss, you just jump up so more of your spread of bullets hits it, and it takes damage quicker. This might be one of the worst jumps in the game. There's been many a run that died to not being able to get into there to get the Buzzbore, which is right here. Now, how the Buzzbore works is it clings to the walls. The controls are
or
really
the floor,
awkward.
or the ceiling. It's sometimes you don't know what you're stuck to. So like,
yeah,
that
so
was lucky there.
Yeah, you think you're on the floor, but you're actually on the ceiling, so nothing works right. It does move faster than when you're walking, though. So unfortunately, you do have to use it.
It's also super useful for rock and roll because he can't jump particularly high. So a lot of the normal jumps for regular Joes, at least he's able to make them now because he's in a Buzzbore.
And there is, if you do happen to lose it, there is a backup Buzzbore near the end. Well, not near the end, kind of coming up here to the left, but full health, not going to really need that. So now here we're just going through the sewers, looking to get all of our checks. The Buzzbore will cause a pretty decent amount of lag if you just sit there and hold down the fire button. Those little rings that come out around it are its attack. So if you have those going and there's too many other things going on the screen, it will slow down a little bit. So there's another element of lag management here. Now there you can, at this point he hadn't taken a hit yet, so you can just start plowing through things because you'll get an invincibility coming up. Just to the left there was where the backup Buzzbore was.
I love that the invincibility is a bulletproof vest, but it applies to vehicles. Like,
yeah.
I can put a bulletproof vest on the side of this vehicle, and all of a sudden it's immune to damage.
Another really nice thing with the bulletproof vest, too, is you don't have to worry about lag then. I don't know what like maybe if it turns off collision detection or something, but you can just go right through things. Now, this is one of the most difficult to time bosses, but also one of the most fun, the AI computer. You're basically jumping and punching this computer a bunch of times in the eyeball.
Stop all the downloading.
If it doesn't work, like, you can get knocked into the pit, or worse, it'll grab you and then it sits there and holds you for what, like 15 seconds?
It's a long time, yeah.
So there's a very safe strategy you can do where you can just take rock and roll and just go back up against the left wall and just keep firing, but that's not fast and it doesn't look as cool as punching a computer in the face.
Was the strategy that I recommended people who ran this game in the Big 20 this past April, I believe. This may be where you've seen the game before. This is the last level of that category where they only had to beat Mission 3, but I recommended the people who, because they're trying to learn 20 games in about a month or whatever, to pick the safe strat in that case rather than going with Gridiron trying to punch the computer. But at this point in time, if I'm trying to set a PB, I can't afford to do it that way. So
yeah, you got to do it the hard way. And this really quick trip through the sewers, and now we're done in Mission 3.
And Mission 4 is going to take us to the Black Hills here, and we're going to do lots of jumping.
And thankfully, we got Snake Eyes and Gridiron, both very good jumpers, and we get to see a new vehicle in this level that is one. I don't know if I like this vehicle more than the helicopter, but they're both so much better than the Buzzbore.
I love this vehicle.
You really only see this one here. And the fun thing with this vehicle is you actually get to use it against the boss in this level.
Yeah.
Which is something you don't get to do very much.
Yeah.
It's this one you want to hope you get a good spawn pattern for the boss right there, and then it's right next to you, and boom, boss is dead.
One thing that I was unaware of was how much HP that thing has. That vehicle does so much damage. If you happen to lose that vehicle and you're trying to beat that boss the normal way, it takes so long. So, while I used to always judge that vehicle by its movement and its lack of horizontal movement for the most part, now that I know how much damage it does, it's definitely grown on me. And there are other levels where it appears, but those levels are less vertical, so it's not quite as fast. But if I were playing it casually, I would absolutely gravitate to that vehicle, especially because it's got the extra HP, too. It's got 5 HP, while the helicopter's got 4 and the Buzzbore's got 3.
And the Buzzbore just makes people sad. So.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here, using rock and roll to break through these because he's got a spreaded weapon, and you're also jumping to just save that little bit of time, because the jump is faster than the walk. If you time this right, like PJ did here, it's beautiful because you can just those things will actually shoot fire, and they do quite a bit of damage. So you're basically avoiding all of that as you go through, just because of the timing being good.
I actually have to wait here. It's kind of annoying because I am worried about my HP a little bit. The boss at the end of this level does so much damage.
And you have to climb through a bunch of rocks to get, like, he'll throw rocks at you as you're going. So if you're too low on health, you're going to lose Snake Eyes. So you have to be pretty careful there.
Yeah, from a speedrun perspective, the boss at the end of this level is the most difficult to run.
From a casual play, it's not as bad, because you can kind of jump around as rocks, but for a speedrun, this boss is incredibly difficult.
Oh. Very precise.
This part is also...
We're one pixel too far to the left.
You have to jump in, grab the ledge, and then keep jumping up. So this is Road Pig. First, you have to climb to get up to him. You're going to see PJ doing a neat little trick here where if you turn around, it'll damage boost you backwards, and that'll send you up onto the ledge, so you can do this and just keep pumping bullets into Road Pig until he dies.
Yeah, that wasn't the best fight. Ideally, I'd have Road Pig done before he comes and hits me a second time, but that's where those little health boost heart container things that we got in the sewers really bailed us out, because now I had 3 health at the end of that level. I'll get boosted up to 6 HP for this fight up here, which gives me 1 light bar insurance.
Yeah,
this boss, that's pretty nice.
Light bar does 4, if I remember right.
I think it only does 3, if I'm lucky.
Oh, 3? Okay.
Yeah, I think it does the same as if I touch this guy.
Yeah,
well, we're just going to attach him anyway, so let's hope for no light bars.
You want to get close to him and just basically just keep pumping the boss full of bullets, and killed him right before the light bar came, so now that's done with Mission 4.
Alright, and now we get to go to the Sahara Desert, because we're starting to run out of biomes to send all these guys.
And this level is... This is another level where lag management is very, very big. If you just keep holding down your fire button, it's going to slow down so much because of everything that's happening. And there's this terrible helicopter. You can duck into the dunes and fire at it there, but that's going to be a lot slower.
Oh my gosh.
So ideally, you want to just keep firing at it, but that was a really bad bullet pattern. That helicopter has claimed many a run on a really good pace.
Yeah, even the current world record that's posted on SRC, Toad, obviously like one of the Mount Rushmore NES speedrunners, doesn't even have a good helicopter fight there. So
yeah, I remember him coming to like, oh geez, there it goes, and then the Buzzbore got him in 5-2.
Oh yeah, so when speedrun goats like effectively like an alien, he's got execution so good, is complaining about those things. It makes you feel a little bit better when they give you a hard time. Like, okay, well, if those guys struggle with it too, it's not so bad.
Now this is 5-2. This is probably the second longest. Yeah, I'd say second longest level in the game after Mission 6. This is a giant warehouse, and
Destro's warehouse. You follow the G.I. Joe lore. You get to see his icon
unfortunately, in Destro's warehouse, we have to use the Buzzbore again. I mean, it's nice you're not taking damage yourself, and it is faster moving, but you think you've got a jump lined up well, and then something goes wrong. That was a really nice grab there.
Yeah, you get like a couple of frames
on the corner.
Yeah, if you are touching that corner there, and then you move the D-pad while you're touching it, you'll stay attached to it, but you only get like a couple frame window to do so.
So like, yeah, you'll see things where you think you've got it, and then you move the D-pad, but then you don't, and you end up losing a couple seconds, and those add up over time. It is very difficult to control the Buzzbore. Now, in an ideal world, we could just take the helicopter, but unfortunately, that doesn't work as well here. We need to keep the Buzzbore.
I see in chat there, Dr. Seek, I do, and I will show after the run the little setup there, because I have a License-a-thon NES controller that I used in my, or that I made to commemorate my 2019 run, so... I always love being able to showcase exactly what's going on in this nonsense, because this game seems to not make a whole lot of sense, especially with this vehicle. So you can see that holding the B button, pressing the A to jump and grab onto different walls and such, it's a little bit more complicated than, the helicopter or the pogo thing is.
Yeah, like the Buzzbore, it's really hard to explain just how awful the Buzzbore controls until you're actually holding the controller in your hand and wondering why they hated the player so much. Now, this boss is really interesting. If the floor will move up, and if you get down to the bottom and fall, you take an instant death. So you basically have to weave a little pattern up here. And then the goal is you do a little damage there, and the goal is to get into the top left corner, and you can, if you duck while punching, you can barely see it because it was so quick there. You'll do extra damage, it'll fire your punches off quick, and Gridiron basically punched that boss in the head so quickly he died. Now this is the most fun level in the game to speedrun, but it is also the most brutal, where if you're off even a couple frames in places, you're going into a pit. This one takes a lot of practice to get down right, and it might be...
Darn. I hit that corner of that ceiling. That was brutal. I knew it was going to happen. As soon as I touched that edge of the ceiling, I couldn't switch the Snake Eyes fast enough.
That's what can happen in this level, just because you're being so precise, you're moving so quick, and things can go wrong very fast. But we've still got, you can definitely take it safe with rock and roll here. You just got to make sure you have enough health at the end for Destro.
Ah. There we go.
Oh, good. Grabbed onto the ledge. Very nice save. So just plowing through there. Got to watch out for that little blade thingy. Nice shot down on those guys on the way through.
Yeah, we took a death here during our SGDQ run, so I felt the need to practice this section a good bit just to make sure I still know how to do it.
So yeah, usually you get out of sorts with, like, you're so used to doing it with Gridiron, when you have to do a backup, it can get pretty rough.
Yeah. You lose the ability to punch things. You lose the ability to jump high. Everything kind of goes south when you have to do this at rock and roll, but we made it.
Yep. And now Destro kind of has two phases here. He's in his little vehicle because he's kind of a coward and doesn't want to fight you face to face. But then you blow up his vehicle and he has no choice.
Well, he's still kind of a coward. He jumps really, really high and stays way off the screen.
So here, if you take a bad hit over one of those pits or something, you die. But there, that's what we want to do. You kill him and you drop into the pit. So that saves, what, maybe 3-4 seconds of
the cutscene, yeah.
Yeah.
And what it really does that's super helpful is it resets Rock and Roll's HP down to 9 HP here. Because of all the health bonuses we got before, he had up to 11 HP. So now that he's at 9, it's actually super helpful for a strat we're going to do in this level.
Yep, we're going to use a Death Warp with Rock and Roll. Now, here we get to play as General Hawk for the first time, and General Hawk basically wears a jetpack. So if you hold A, you can just go. He'll fly. Now, here with Rock and Roll, the goal is to get him down to 1 health. Those grenades do 4 damage.
Yep.
So you want to
9
take
minus
2
4
grenades.
minus 4. That's pretty good math, right?
Yep, we love our math. And knowing is half the battle.
Exactly. The thing is,
So here,
General Hawk, man, like, this cool jetpack, look how fast he's flying, how powerful his gun is. What a bum. We could have used this, like, the last 20 minutes, right? Like, that would have been super helpful to have this guy on our squad at any point of the time. But instead, he was just sitting in a nice, cushy office, sending Blizzard and Gridiron and Snake Eyes to lead all these missions instead. But if we had this guy the whole time, I mean...
yeah, get rid of Blizzard. I mean, they have the color palette is kind of similar.
Yeah.
So let's get rid of Blizzard. Just give us General Hawk the whole time.
Don't
Now,
understand
this
it.
shot here, that right there, that is a very, very tight window to get that shot off without getting hit by a grenade. So it is really cool to see done. And it can be devastating if you take that grenade to the face.
Yeah, you don't have too many opportunities to max out General Hawk's health here without really straying off the speedrun route, so for a PB attempt or something like that there, then you absolutely need to nail him perfectly and not take any damage elsewhere. Like, we're down 1 HP so far, that's not so bad. But the Cobra Commander fight that we're going to have up here in a couple minutes, the final showdown, lots of things can do lots of damage real quick.
And he can also turn you into a lizard, and... is it a lizard or is it a...
Oh, wow, a low grenade.
Ooh, yeah, those things will throw grenades high or low, and usually they don't throw low as often as high.
Yeah, I'm not used
At
to seeing
least-
them change in the middle of it. Like, once I see him throw the high, it usually just stays high after that.
Yeah, you just
so.
duck, and they know they're trying to make up for all those extra guns that you got in 3-1. So here we're almost at the last check, and there's some like safety health you can grab here. So definitely for like after that low grenade, definitely worth grabbing. There's some extra stuff there too. I think that was a health, stamina increase, and then a health refill.
Yep. All right, and
So
then
here's the final check.
And we're so far away from the exit. How are we going to get there?
We're going to kill Rock and Roll, and then restart right at the beginning.
He'll get our Purple Heart Award. There.
And then he can go back and get these 2 guns again. So now, if he's got 3, that'll be an extra bullet. In the normal speedrun, you generally don't do that. Oh, no. Oh, perfect! The low grenade, and then it gives you the full health again. That is
They knew what they
beautiful.
did. They were paying back. But yeah, this is the fastest way towards the end without straying too far off the route to end up with maximum gun power, because we don't want to take any more deaths in this run, no matter how bad this fight gets. So
Yeah, normally when in like the general speedrun, you're going into this with, what is it, 2A for your gun? And that can get really dicey really quick, but since now we've got max gun, that was really, I mean, it's not too far off either to get those.
right. All right, so here's our final showdown. We just
Time
gotta
will end when Cobra Commander stops moving. So yeah, you just kind of hover in front of him and just keep blasting him in the face and hope you don't get hit by those rings because they turn you into a lizard.
And
you
that's
hope he doesn't
time.
throw a grenade. And there you go, time. Great run.
It's a pretty good run, yeah. 2206 on my end, I think. And we get to see the explosion, and then some credits here. And then in typical Taxon fashion, if you haven't played any of their NES games before, they like to run it back. They're like, all right, that's cool, you beat it, but now beat it again, or beat it another time. And similar to like Mario Brothers Second Quest or
to
Mario 2
Zelda.
Japan with the stars or Zelda. They'll crank up the difficulty a bit. Now in second quest, what they'll do is they'll move all the check marks around in those different mazes, but also you'll only get 2 Joes to fight with instead of 3. But unlike Zelda and Mario, there is also a third quest, which is incredibly brutal. They still give you 2 Joes. They move the checks around even further, but then they double the amount of damage the enemies deal while reducing the amount of damage that you deal. So
And you only get half ammo.
yeah. So
Maybe
maybe one day that
rough.
category will find its way into a speed run, but it's a little scary for now. So we haven't touched there. Oh yeah, the controller. So Some West, the NES Mario runner from many years ago, him and a pal designed a 3D printed controller grip that basically feels like a PS4, PS5 controller. So it looks like this, and inside I would just drop my NES controller. In this case, I have a really cool licensed on one that I made from our run in 2019. Just pop that thing in there, and then attached to it are some Home Depot parts. And up here we got a camera and a little flashlight there. So just to kind of show what's going on. On my stream, I have different rewards so people can donate channel points or whatever, and I'll change the controller to whatever they pick. But yeah, every marathon I do, I try to make a controller out of. So look for a cool Licensed On 2023 one coming up sometime soon as well. But yeah, this is G.I. Joe. I hope you guys really liked it. Thank you, Zero, for being in the booth here with me.
Anytime.
Yeah, and yeah, I look forward to seeing the rest of Licensed On because I haven't really been in these early time slots before for a marathon, and this month I've got a couple of them like that. So I'm done. Now I can sit on the couch and watch the rest of these. So thanks so much for having me, guys. Check out PMC's run next. He is always an absolute blast to watch, and I think we got a cool Gundam game coming up in a sec. So thanks so much for having me. Give me a follow. Check out my stream. Check out Zero's stream, and hope to see you there. Thanks again.